I'm Gretchen Holt, 36 years old, and I never thought my own family would turn their backs on me. At our family dinner, my parents slammed their hands on the table, their faces red with rage, and forced me to pay my sister's $20,000 debt. "If you don't, you're selfish," they shouted while my sister smirked in silence. I stayed calm and firmly replied, "No." Immediately, they pointed to the door and told me to get out. My heart pounded, but I didn't argue. I quietly walked away, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. The next day, I quietly cut off every tie. And then, a month later, my phone lit up with dozens of missed calls from the people I once called family. If you were in my shoes, would you choose to forgive or to cut ties? Share your thoughts in the comments below. That night, I drove to my parents' house in Savannah expecting a warm family dinner. I'd been looking forward to it all week, a rare chance to catch up. As I walked through the door, the smell of roasted chicken hit me, but the mood was anything but cozy. My sister Rhonda Neal sat at the table, her arms crossed her eyes, avoiding mine. Her best friend Tamara Boyd leaned forward, whispering something to her. My dad, Walter Holt, and my mom, Carol Holt, were already seated, their faces tense. I forced a smile, hoping to break the ice, but the air felt heavy like a storm was brewing. "Gretchen, sit down," Dad said, his voice sharp. I slid into a chair, my stomach twisting. Mom passed the mashed potatoes, but her usual chatter was gone. Rhonda cleared her throat, her fingers tapping the table. "We need to talk about my event," she said, her tone clipped. "It flopped, and I'm in debt. $20,000. I froze my fork halfway to my mouth. "That's a lot, Rhonda," I said carefully. "What happened?" "It doesn't matter what happened." Tamara snapped, her eyes narrowing. "You're her sister. You should help her out." Her words stung like she'd been waiting to pounce. I glanced at Rhonda, expecting her to explain, but she just nodded, her jaw tight. "I've been paying your rent and bills for years," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I've got my own business to run, Rhonda. A flower shop doesn't make millions." Tamara scoffed, tossing her hair. "You don't care about your sister, do you? You're just sitting there acting like her life isn't falling apart." Her accusation hit like a slap. My chest tightened, but I kept my eyes on Rhonda. "Is that true?" I asked her. "You think I don't care?" Rhonda hesitated, then leaned forward. "You've got the money, Gretchen. You could cover it. It's just 20,000. You've helped before." Her words were soft, but they carried a weight like she expected me to cave. I shook my head, my hands gripping the edge of the table. "I've paid enough. I've been covering Mom and Dad's rent, their utilities. Your car payments, 5 years, Rhonda. I can't keep doing this." Mom's fork clattered against her plate. "Gretchen, don't be selfish," she snapped, her voice rising. "Your sister needs you. Family sticks together." "Selfish?" I repeated, my voice trembling. "I've given everything. When have any of you thanked me?" Dad slammed his hand on the table, making the glasses shake. "Enough," he barked. "You're embarrassing us in front of Tamara. If you can't help Rhonda, you don't belong here." My breath caught. I looked at Mom, hoping she'd say something, anything to soften his words. But she just stared at her plate, her lips pressed tight. Rhonda folded her arms, her face blank like she'd already won. Tamara smirked, her eyes glinting with satisfaction. "Get out," Dad said, pointing to the door. "If you're not going to be a family, then leave." My heart pounded, a mix of shock and pain ripping through me. I stood my chair, scraping the floor. "You're choosing her debt over me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. No one answered. Mom looked away. Dad's face was stone, and Rhonda just stared at the table. Tamara's smirk widened like she was enjoying the show. I grabbed my purse, my hands shaking, and walked to the door. "Fine," I said, my voice cracking. "I'm done." The door slammed behind me, the sound echoing in my ears as I stumbled to my car. My chest burned with betrayal, their words replaying in my mind: selfish, don't belong, get out. I'd spent years keeping them afloat, pouring my earnings from the flower shop into their lives, and this was how they repaid me. As I drove away, my knuckles white on the steering wheel, something shifted inside me. I wasn't just hurt, I was angry. They thought they could guilt me into paying forever, but they'd crossed a line. The next morning, I sat alone in my flower shop, the quiet hum of the cooler keeping my roses fresh. My laptop glowed on the counter, open to my bank account. I clicked through the transactions, my eyes scanning years of payments I'd made for my family. Rent for Walter and Carol's house, $1,200 a month, sometimes $1,500 when taxes went up. Electric bills, water bills, even their internet, 5 years of it, thousands of dollars funneled from my flower shop's earnings. My fingers tightened around my coffee mug as I stared at the numbers. I'd built this business from nothing, arranging bouquets for weddings and funerals, while they leaned on me without a second thought. Last night's dinner replayed in my mind. Walter's hand slamming the table, Carol's silence. Rhonda's blank stare, Tamara's smug grin. Selfish, they called me. Get out, they said. I'd given them everything, and they threw me away for refusing to cover Rhonda's $20,000 mess. My stomach churned a mix of hurt and fury. How could they think I owed them more? I opened the payment portal for their rent. The screen showed the next auto payment set to go out tomorrow. My finger hovered over the cancel button. Part of me wanted to keep things as they were to avoid the fallout. They were my family, after all. But then I remembered Tamara's words. You don't care about your sister. And Carol's sharp rebuke. Don't be selfish. They didn't care about me. They saw me as a bank. Not a daughter, not a sister. I clicked cancel. The screen flashed a confirmation and my shoulders relaxed for the first time in days. I moved to the utility account's electric, water, internet. One by one, I turned off the auto payments. Each click felt like shedding a weight I'd carried too long. 5 years of covering their bills, and not once had Walter or Carol said thank you. Not once had Rhonda offered to pay me back. I leaned back in my chair, my breath steadying. But the relief didn't last. A pang of guilt hit me sharp and unexpected. Walter's laugh at my high school graduation flashed in my mind, his proud smile when I opened my flower shop. Carol's late-night calls asking for advice on her garden. Even Rhonda years ago helping me arrange my first bouquet. They weren't perfect, but they were my family. Had I gone too far? My eyes stung, but I blinked hard, refusing to let tears fall. I wasn't wrong for this. They'd crossed the line, not me. I scrolled through my bank statements again, double-checking. Every month I'd sent $1,200 for their rent, sometimes more. Electric bills averaged $150, water about $80. I'd even paid off Rhonda's car note a few years back, another $5,000 I never saw again. My savings had dwindled because of them while I kept my shop running on tight margins. I clenched my jaw, the numbers fueling my resolve. I wasn't their ATM anymore. I closed my laptop, my hands steady now. The shop felt quieter, like the decision had settled something inside me. I wasn't just cutting off their payments. I was taking back my life. They thought they could guilt me into carrying their burdens forever, but I was done. Still, a small part of me ached, wondering if they'd ever see me as more than a source of cash. Would they call begging for forgiveness, or would they double down blaming me for their problems? I stood and walked to the counter, picking up a pair of shears to trim a wilting lily. The snip of the blades felt final, like I was cutting away their hold on me. I didn't know what would happen next. Maybe they'd show up at my shop. Maybe they'd ignore me entirely. But I knew one thing: I was worth more than their demands. I'd spent years building my business, my life, and I wasn't going to let them drain me dry. A month later, my phone buzzed with Rhonda's name. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen. After that dinner, I hadn't heard from her, Walter, or Carol. No apologies, no texts, just silence. I hit answer, bracing myself. Gretchen, I need your help. Rhonda said, her voice soft but urgent. I'm planning a new event, a big one. It's $15,000 to get it off the ground. My career depends on it. I gripped the phone, my jaw tightening. 15,000, I said, my tone flat. Rhonda, you're asking for more money after they kicked me out. It's not like that. She rushed, her words tumbling over each other. This event could save my business. You've always come through for me. Please. I paced behind the counter, my sneakers squeaking on the tile. Her plea stirred something in me, anger, not pity. You sat there while Walter and Carol threw me out, I said, my voice sharp. Tamara called me selfish and you didn't say a word. Now you want my money? Rhonda went quiet, then sighed. I didn't mean for it to go that far. But I'm desperate, Gretchen. You're my sister. Your sister? I snapped, my blood boiling. I paid your car note, covered their rent for years. You think I'm a bank you can keep tapping? I stopped pacing. My hand clenched around a pair of scissors. I wasn't falling for her sob story again. No, Rhonda, I said firmly. I'm done. She started to protest, but I hung up, my heart racing. Her nerve calling me after everything lit a fire in me. I wasn't just going to sit back. They needed to know I wasn't their doormat anymore. I opened my desk drawer, pulling out a stack of old receipts. I started sorting through them, my hands moving fast. Bank statements, payment confirmations, anything showing the money I'd poured into their lives. I logged into my email, searching for messages from Rhonda. There they were, texts from years ago thanking me for covering her bills, promising to pay me back. Lies. I saved every one, my fingers trembling with purpose. Then I checked my bank app, downloading records of transfers to Walter and Carol, over $60,000 in 5 years. Each transaction felt like a betrayal, a reminder of how they'd used me. That evening, I sat on my couch, the receipts and screenshots spread across my coffee table. My boyfriend Bradley Owen walked in, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder. He took one look at the mess and raised an eyebrow. What's all this? He asked, sitting beside me. They think they can keep taking, I said, my voice low but steady. Rhonda called today asking for 15,000. I'm done, Bradley. I'm going to show everyone what they've done. He nodded, his hand resting on mine. You're stronger than they think, he said. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. Keep going. His words grounded me, pushing back the anger threatening to boil over. I leaned into him, feeling a spark of resolve. With Bradley in my corner, I knew I could do this. The next day, I was restocking roses at the shop when a regular customer stopped by. She asked how I was holding up, mentioning rumors about my family's fight. I shrugged, but the words slipped out. I'm done covering for them. I've got proof of everything. Her eyes widened, and I realized my mistake. Word spreads fast in Savannah. By evening, my phone pinged with a text from a mutual friend. Rhonda's freaking out. She heard you're planning something. I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. I hadn't meant to tip my hand, but it was too late. Rhonda was scared, and that told me I was on the right track. I saved another screenshot, my mind racing with what was coming. 2 weeks later, I sat at my desk ready to fight back. My laptop screen glowed with folders of evidence, receipts, bank transfers, and old messages from Rhonda. I dragged each file into a timeline, my fingers steady as I built a case that would expose the truth. Every document told a story, 5 years of me footing Walter and Carol's bills, thousands sunk into Rhonda's endless emergencies. I wasn't just organizing papers, I was crafting a weapon. As I scrolled through Rhonda's old texts, one stopped me cold. Sent 3 years ago, it read, "Thanks for the cash, sis. I'll pay you back when my events take off, promise." Another from last year. "You're a lifesaver, but don't tell anyone I'm struggling." My stomach twisted. She'd known exactly what she was doing, using my money while playing the victim. That message was gold proof she'd taken advantage of me. I saved it to my main folder, my resolve hardening. I needed someone to amplify this truth. I opened my email and typed a message to Phyllis Klein, a freelance journalist I'd met at a local wedding expo. She'd written pieces exposing shady businesses in Savannah, and I trusted her to handle this right. Phyllis, I wrote, I've got evidence my family's been exploiting me. Can we meet? Within an hour, she replied, let's talk tomorrow. The next day, Phyllis sat across from me at a coffee shop, her notebook open. Show me what you've got, she said, her voice calm but curious. I slid my laptop toward her, walking her through the timeline receipts for rent payments, bank transfers to Walter and Carol, Rhonda's texts, admitting she'd leaned on me. Phyllis's eyes narrowed as she read the message where Rhonda promised to pay me back. This is damning, she said, scribbling notes. We can make this public, but it needs to hit hard. Where's Rhonda most visible? The community fair, I said, my voice firm. She's organizing it next month. Everyone in Savannah will be there. Phyllis nodded, her pen moving fast. Perfect. We'll release the story there. Blog post, maybe a speech. Let the town see who she really is. We spent an hour mapping it out. She'd draft an article, I'd provide the evidence, and we'd time it for maximum impact at the fair. My heart raced, but not with fear. This was excitement. I was finally taking control. Back at my flower shop, I called Bradley. He answered on the first ring, his voice warm. How's it going, Gretchen? He asked. I told him about Phyllis and our plan, my words spilling out. I'm not backing down, I said. They've underestimated me for too long. Bradley chuckled, a sound that steadied me. You're unstoppable, he said. But stay sharp, they'll fight dirty when they hear about this. We talked strategy, how to present the evidence clearly, how to handle backlash. He suggested practicing my speech, keeping my voice steady to win the crowd. You've got this, he said. Show them who you are. His confidence fueled mine like a fire catching fresh kindling. That evening, I tested my speech in front of my bathroom mirror, my voice growing stronger with each line. For years, I paid their bills, their rent, their debts. I practiced imagining Rhonda's face, and they called me selfish. Each word felt like a step toward justice. I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for every dollar I'd lost, every sleepless night I'd spent worrying about their problems. I closed my laptop, my mind buzzing with purpose. The fair was weeks away, but I was ready. With Phyllis's pen and Bradley's support, I wasn't just exposing Rhonda, I was rewriting my story. A week later, my phone lit up with notifications. Tamara's post in a Savannah community group cut straight to my heart. Gretchen Holt is a selfish sister who'd rather tear her family apart than help. She's jealous of Rhonda's success and refused to support her. My eyes stung as I saw Rhonda's name under the post. She'd liked it, endorsing the lie. Comments flooded in, people I'd known for years calling me cold, disloyal, a disgrace. My hands shook, dropping the ribbon to the floor. I'd paid their rent, their bills, Rhonda's debts, thousands over years, and this was my reward. The shop's phone had barely rung all week. Orders for events and funerals had plummeted. I checked my email cancellations from 2 regular clients, one citing recent gossip. Tamara's words weren't just lies, they were strangling my business. Rhonda's support made it feel like a knife in my back. I paced the shop, my pulse hammering. Anger surged, hot and sharp, but beneath it was a raw ache. These were people I'd grown up with, served for years, now turning on me. I thought of Walter and Carol, silent as their daughter was smeared. Had they seen the post? Did they care? I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I stopped myself. They didn't deserve my tears. I sat at the counter staring at my laptop. The files I'd organized, receipts, bank transfers, Rhonda's texts sat ready. I could have sent them to Phyllis right then, let the truth rip through their lies, but something held me back. A blog post wasn't enough. I wanted Rhonda to face me, to look me in the eye when the truth came out. The community fair was her stage, her pride. That's where I'd make my stand. I texted Bradley. Tamara's slandering me online. Rhonda's backing her. I'm done hiding. He called immediately, his voice steady. "They're scared, Gretchen," he said. "You've got everything you need to shut them down. Don't let this break you." His words were a lifeline, pulling me from the hurt. I nodded, though he couldn't see me. "I'm not breaking," I said. "I'm fighting." I called Phyllis next, my voice firm despite the knot in my chest. "Tamara's spreading lies online," I told her. "I'm saving the truth for the fair." She paused, then said, "That's bold. I'll be there with my camera. Make it count." Her confidence fueled mine like a spark catching dry wood. I wasn't just angry, I was ready. By evening, another text came from a friend. "Tamara's post is everywhere. Rhonda's telling people you abandoned her." My jaw clenched, but the news only sharpened my focus. Their lies were piling up, but I had the truth, every receipt, every message. I imagined Rhonda at her fair, smiling for the crowd, oblivious to what was coming. Let her enjoy her moment. I'd make sure it didn't last. I closed the shop early, my resolve ironclad. The day of Rhonda's community fair arrived. I stood at the edge of Savannah's fairgrounds, the air buzzing with laughter and music. Booths stretched along the street, vendors selling crafts and food under Rhonda's banners. My heart pounded, but my hands were steady, clutching a folder of evidence, receipts, bank transfers, Rhonda's texts. Bradley stood beside me, his presence grounding. "You're ready," he said, squeezing my arm. Phyllis was nearby, her camera poised to record. This was it, my chance to set the record straight. Rhonda took the stage for her opening speech, all charm and smiles, shaking hands with locals. Tamara lingered at the edge, her eyes darting nervously. I waited, my breath calm, until Rhonda opened the floor for questions. I stepped forward, raising my hand. The crowd hushed, heads turning. Rhonda's face drained of color, her smile freezing. "I have something to say," I announced, my voice cutting through the air. I climbed onto the stage, ignoring Tamara's scowl. "For years, I paid my family's rent, $1,200 a month, sometimes more. I covered their bills, my sister's debts, $60,000 total. And what did I get? Lies. They called me selfish, spread rumors to ruin me." I held up the folder, pulling out a receipt. "This is proof, 5 years of payments to Walter and Carol." I showed a text from Rhonda: "Thanks for the cash SS. Don't tell anyone I'm struggling." The crowd gasped, whispers rippling. Rhonda's mouth opened, but no words came. I turned to her, my gaze unflinching. "Why did you lie, Rhonda? Why say I abandoned you when I carried you for years?" Tamara stepped forward, her voice sharp. "You're twisting the truth, Gretchen." But I held up another receipt, silencing her. "This isn't twisted. It's fact." Phyllis moved closer, her camera rolling. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, some nodding, others glaring at Rhonda. A woman shouted, "Is that true?" "Rhonda," another called. "You owe her an apology." Rhonda stammered, I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Her voice cracked, her charm crumbling under the weight of eyes on her. I kept going, my voice steady. "I built my flower shop from nothing. I gave everything to my family, and they turned on me." Tamara posted lies online, saying I'm jealous that I broke our family. But here's the truth: they used me then, discarded me. I held up the folder again, letting the evidence speak. The crowd's support swelled, claps, cheers, a few shaking their heads at Rhonda. Tamara tried again, her face red. "You're just bitter," she shouted. But the crowd wasn't listening. A vendor I knew yelled, "We trust Gretchen. She's always been fair." Rhonda's shoulders slumped, her eyes darting to the exit. She'd lost them, her own fair, her own stage. Phyllis caught my eye, giving a subtle nod. She'd post the video online, letting the truth spread further. Bradley stepped closer, whispering, "You did it." I felt a rush of triumph, but a small pang lingered. Walter and Carol weren't here, but they'd hear about this. I'd wanted them to see me stand tall, but their absence didn't dim my victory. By evening, my shop's phone was ringing again. New orders, apologies from old clients. A local restaurant owner approached me saying, "I'm sorry, I doubted you. Your shop's getting my business." Rhonda's fair went on, but the whispers followed her. She'd lost her shine, her event tainted by the truth. I walked away from the stage, my head high, the weight of years lifting. I'd taken back my name, and no one could take that away. 3 months later, my shop was thriving again. The scent of fresh lilies filled the air as I arranged a new display near the window, sunlight streaming across the polished counter. Savannah's streets bustled outside, but inside my flower shop I felt a quiet peace. The chaos of the past year, Rhonda's lies, Tamara's slander, Walter and Carol's betrayal had settled into a distant hum. I'd faced them all at the fair, and now the consequences were unfolding. Word spread fast after that day. Rhonda's event planning business crumbled under the weight of her exposed lies. Clients canceled contracts, vendors distanced themselves, and her name became a cautionary tale in Savannah's tight-knit community. I heard from a local caterer that Rhonda had lost a major wedding gig, her reputation too tarnished to recover. The debts she'd dodged, bills I'd once paid, caught up with her. Walter and Carol, too, faced the fallout. Without my support, their unpaid rent and utilities piled up, forcing them to leave town. A neighbor mentioned seeing their house listed for sale, their belongings packed into a moving truck. They were gone, and I didn't care to know where. I blocked their numbers. Rhonda, Walter, Carol, Tamara. No calls, no texts, no apologies. I was done carrying their burdens, done hoping for change. The silence felt like freedom, a weight lifted from my shoulders. I'd spent years tying myself to people who didn't value me, but no more. My life was mine now, and I was building it on my terms. The shop became my sanctuary. I hired Kevin Walsh, my employee at the flower shop, to help manage the growing orders. Kevin was young, barely 28, with a quick smile and a knack for arranging bouquets. "You're killing it, Gretchen," he said one afternoon, tying a ribbon around a wedding order. I laughed, handing him a pair of shears. "Couldn't do it without you, Kevin." His support, small but steady, reminded me I wasn't alone. Bradley was my rock. We spent evenings planning the shop's expansion, a new section for custom arrangements, a small cafe corner for walk-in clients. One night, as we sat on my porch, the Savannah sunset painting the sky orange, he took my hand. "I'm proud of you," he said, his voice warm. "You didn't just survive, you built something better." I smiled, leaning into him. "Couldn't have done it without you, Bradley." His presence made every step feel lighter, every victory sweeter. The shop's success was proof of my strength. Orders poured in, weddings, birthdays, even a contract for the city's spring festival. Customers stopped by with kind words, some apologizing for doubting me during the rumors. A local baker who'd once sided with Tamara's lies brought me a box of cupcakes as a peace offering. "We were wrong about you," she said. I nodded, accepting the gesture but keeping my guard up. I'd learned who to trust. One morning, as I sorted invoices, Kevin burst in, holding his phone. "You've got to see this," he said, showing me a local blog post. Phyllis had written a follow-up piece, not about the fair, but about my shop's rise. "Gretchen Holt's flower shop is a testament to resilience," it read. "She's proof you can rebuild when others try to tear you down." I smiled, a quiet pride swelling in my chest. Phyllis hadn't just been a journalist, she'd become a friend, someone who saw my worth. I thought about my family sometimes, but not with anger. The hurt had faded, replaced by clarity. Rhonda, Walter, Carol, they'd chosen their path and I'd chosen mine. I didn't need their approval to know my value. My real family was here: Bradley, who believed in me, Kevin, who worked by my side, even Phyllis, who'd helped me tell my story. They were the ones who mattered, the ones who lifted me up instead of pulling me down. As I locked the shop one evening, the neon sign glowing softly, I paused to take it in. This was my life now, a business I'd grown, a home I'd built, people who respected me. I'd spent too long sacrificing for those who didn't care, pouring my heart into empty promises. Never again. The lesson was hard-won but clear. Don't give yourself away to people who don't see your worth. I walked home under the stars, my steps light, my heart full. I was Gretchen Holt, and I was enough.